Hi. So this is one of the first still render images I have done in Blender, and this was back in 2020. And I still think for an early piece, this is not terrible, but there has some issues. And the number one biggest problem I have with this is the fact that the edges on everything are so sharp. Like if we go over and look at these shelves, it's a sharp cutoff point right here. These are sharp, straight 90-degree edges. This just looks like it looks like a cube that's been switched around and squished and transformed. Same with this island here. These are just perfect 90-degree angles, and well, it looks okay. You're kind of lacking that extra definition that you should have when you look at anything that's real, which is that natural light wrap going around the edge here. And it's very easy to do, and it makes for great results. This is a re-render I made where I was inspired by the original and decided to go back and do it. And here you can see I started using BEVELS. And BEVELS are the best way, one of the best ways when modeling to add that little extra bit of realism to your models. And if you don't see exactly what I'm talking about, the bevel is the rounded smooth edge here going around the table. And you can see, even though this picture is not super high res, instead of that sharp 90-degree edges you were having before on both the little cabinets and the islands, now we have a very soft round edge, which is taking the light and wrapping it around the object. So we have a bit of sunlight wrapping down around onto the side here, and we have the shaded underside wrapping back up. And it just makes for a very much nicer looking composition, because then we get some actual definition on these big flat edges of like, oh, the light's wrapping around here, as opposed to back here where it's just all gray, white. Right here we have like some depth to it where it's like, oh, it's kind of a light color going to kind of a darkish gray, and then it mid-tones out in the middle, and it gets dark again at the bottom, and then you have the shadow underneath, and then that lightens up, and it's very easy to do. So in Blender, I have an island here that I made. So this is like the original one I had, where it's just perfect 90-degree angles, and well, it doesn't look terrible. You can see here when we look at the side that we have basically white, gray, gray, and they're all the same. There's no difference. The only real places that are different is right here where the light is already wrapping around a little bit. To add bevels, all we have to do is tab into edit mode, and in this case, I'm just going to hit A to select everything. If you only want to bevel certain objects, you can go through and say I want to select this row of edges. I'd hold down Alt and then click, and that'll select the whole edge row here. If I press Shift, I can keep adding to that. I'm going to hit Control B to bring up the beveler, and if I just pull it, it'll give me a result. Now, probably on yours, it's going to look like this with just one bevel here, but you can up the amount of segments. We're not going to need that many edges because we're going to be making a small bevel here. Probably something even like this is good. Like, you don't even have to do it very much, just enough that it looks good. And I'm going to duplicate this so we can have a reference one that is the original. Control B, bevel this. I'll make this a nice big, not very subtle bevel, but I'm going to give it a lot of edges so that it has like a lot to work with. And you can just see the difference right here between this sharp edge and this nice, soft, rounded looking result. This is really going to take you far. Like, this right here just looks so much better to look at than this. And it's going to look a lot less fake if you present a render that has nice, soft, rounded edges as opposed to these sharp, jagged edges. Anyways, that's about it. Using this will definitely help out your renders, and it's kind of a case-by-case basis of how much beveling you want to add. Like, if I'm only doing a little bit, like a little subtle bevel like this, you can get away with like 1 or 2, honestly, and just shade it auto smooth and it will look fine. Make sure to please add enough edges, just enough so that when you shade it smooth, it looks okay and it keeps that nice edge flow, and it doesn't look like it's made out of 3 different faces.